All right, hey everybody, back with another one here. We're going to be talking about turbos in a minute, but before I do, I want to dive into this one right off the bat here. This is, according to the Ward's Auto World publication, okay, this is a big publication here, and it's been going for over a century, and they regularly do their 10 best engines, okay, and publishes once every single year. They cover this stuff. The interesting part is to appear on the list is a credit to an engine's reliability, performance, and design. The list includes rigorous testing and evaluation by a panel of publications editors who consider factors such as horsepower, torque, fuel economy, and application of new technologies. Okay, this is a very powerful list to be on, kind of thing. But again, you take all lists with a grain of salt. Many iconic engines have appeared multiple times on the list since its inception in 1994. There was a clear winner by appearance too. The Nissan VQ V6, the engine family, has appeared 16 times on this list, with two specific variants appearing 13 times overall. The two variants of the famous reliable Nissan engine are the VQ30DE and the VQ35DE, selected 7 and 6 times respectively. Okay, so here they are. Now there's actually something else that's on here that's very interesting I'm going to cover down at the bottom. Okay, so here they are. You know, you got your 3 liter and your 3.5 liter, where they were used, this kind of thing. Okay, they talk about these motors. Here's another one. This is the 3.5, which is how that works. See, VQ35 is a 3.5, VQ30 is a 3 liter. So they talk about that. But here's what I thought was pretty interesting. Right down here, where is it? Okay, this engine was also, okay, right here, honorable mention, Chrysler Pentastar engine, okay? Oh my God, I can see everybody that hates Jeep and rags on Jeep so much, I can see their heads exploding right now on this prestigious list as an honorable mention. Right behind these two most amazing ones is the Chrysler Pentastar engine. What's it say? Behind the Q30 and 30 or VQ30 and 35 engine series in the Ward's 10 best engine ranking is the Pentastar V6, featured for 7 years from 2011 to 2013, then again from 2017 to 2020. The Chrysler Pentastar is also capable of 300 horsepower, naturally aspirated, and it's produced in a trio of displacements, including 3 liter, 3.2, and versions alongside the 3.6, beginning production in 2010. Chrysler's workhorse is featured in many Stellantis products, from the Chrysler 300, the Pacifica, the Durango, the Challenger, and the Jeep Wrangler, and the Gladiator, and the Ram 1500. Okay, so that's right there. It says right here, well, it's another versatile and reliable unit. It's perhaps also surprising that Pentastar is still in production today, as it begins to look outdated compared to these turbo and hybrid engines, blah, blah, blah. Okay, they go on to say it, but it says ultimately, the world will render both the Chrysler Pentastar, okay, look at this. Ultimately, the world will render both the Chrysler Pentastar and the Nissan VQ engines obsolete as the 3.5 V6 becomes more thirsty and they move on and they're growing up and there's all these new ones coming. You know, everything naturally aspirated is going away, as we're learning. But I love the fact that the Pentastar was mentioned being on here more times than a lot of other motors were. That's pretty cool. So moving on to there, how does your turbo work? So if you're not looking at one of these naturally aspirated motors and going to have one of these, what are we going to deal with when we get into turbo? So let's look at this. I love this article here. What is an intercooler? Okay, well, it's cool that it's there and it shows you that, but this is the chart that I liked, which led me down the rabbit hole to teach you guys this, but it's going to show you how this thing works. Okay, here's, first of all, charge air cooler. That's the intercooler they're talking about. They give a quick highlight right here on what it is. An intercooler is a system that cools down compressed air before it enters the engine. Without this, your turbo doesn't run efficiently because the turbo is too hot of air when it's compressed. The intercooler cools that air. Cold air is more dense, and therefore it's going to be more powerful in the combustion process. Okay, they got air to air and air to water intercoolers, two main types of the devices. It is a critical component of high performance forced induction engines. Okay, so there it is. But this here, so how does it work? Okay, how does this turbo system work? So In a forced induction engine, a turbocharger forces compressed air into the combustion chamber. Fuel injectors could easily fill that cylinder, but it needs air to combust, making air the limiting factor. Okay, it's why when you take a naturally aspirated engine into the mountains, it loses horsepower. It's starving for air. We can tell a computer to pump more gas, but we can't tell a vehicle to suck in more air. Okay, as it's driving down the road, we can't make it suck in more air until we add a turbo. That's what a turbo does. It makes it suck in more air. If we find a way to add more air, we can tell the computer to add more fuel and make the explosion. It happens inside the cylinder much more powerful, much bigger, which moves the piston down much harder, which in turn creates more horsepower. That's how this whole thing works, okay? The intercooler is crucial in maximizing air the engine can breathe, okay? It's positioned between a turbocharger or supercharger and the engine's intake throttle. The cooler, denser air contributes to better combustion efficiency. So if we look at this chart here and we take a peek at this, here's what we got going on. So see this ambient air outlet? Okay, this is your air intake on your car. If you're a naturally aspirated one, air comes into here, and then that air flows into the engine, and then the computer sees how much air is coming into there, and then the computer will send that much fuel to the injector, tell the injectors to pump a matching amount of fuel to meet the amount of air that's in there. Okay, that's how it works. That's all it is, okay? It's all a combustion chamber is. Air, fuel, and a spark. That's it. Okay, but you got to have the right mixtures. Well, if you cannot get more air to come in, you can't add more fuel, or you run too rich. And if you don't have enough fuel, you run too lean. Okay, it's the way it works. So it's simple. The way a cylinder doesn't change. It is what it is. They're getting more complex. But now what a turbo does is a turbo says, I can put more air in there than you can get naturally aspirated. So how does it do it? Well, during this cycle here, we start here at the combustion chamber. So when this piston fires, boom, and it goes down, and when it comes up for the exhaust stroke, it's going to shoot out those hot exhaust gases. They're going to come down this red tube right here. And those hot exhaust gases flow straight into the turbocharger here, where they hit this one fan on this side, okay? When those exhaust, it's like a hard blow that's coming in. It hits that fan and makes that fan spin. Okay, and then the stuff that's not needed, the extra pressure of the exhaust gases are blown out of the discharge right here. They're blown out to the actual exhaust. But those exhaust gases spin this fin that is on here, this wheel. On the other side of that wind, there's a oil bearing in here, okay, but on the other side of that fin is the air intake side. Well, here's where your air goes through your air filter and comes into the turbo, but since we can spin it by the exhaust gases and get it really cranking really fast, the fins on this side suck air in. Almost like you turn a fan around, or if you put your hand on like a house fan, you put your hand towards the back, it wants to suck it into there, okay? Same concept. Well, on this side over here, that's what's happening. Air is being sucked into this by that turbo fan into here quicker, and then it goes into here and it gets compressed, gets just jam-packed down. When it gets compressed down, it gets really hot. But hot air doesn't have density. So as that air gets compressed down, it gets sent through here, and it goes through this tube here, and it goes right into the intercooler. That intercooler cools that air and goes whoa, and makes it super dense. Then that goes through the intercooler and comes out and drops into the cylinder, is one big ball of air that drops into that cylinder that is dense, heavy, and a lot of surface area, and that means that the fuel can now mix at a higher rate, and we get a much bigger explosion in there. That's how your turbo works. This is the whole system. And then when that exhaust stroke comes back up, it pushes out the hot gases, sends them back in, spins the turbo. That spinning turbo pulls in more air. That air hits the compressor, jams tight and compact, shoots through the cooler, gets really cool and dense, gets sent into the chamber, boom, and then we repeat. So that's the way it all works and how it functions. Here's another one right here too. Now we already explained it in detail. This shows you some of the components here. So you can see it and you can read it here. I'll leave where you can pause it if you want to. This one here says same thing, uses exhaust gas to spin a turbine attached to a second turbine that sucks air into the engine. Okay. That's basically what it works, okay? It does give you some warnings. If a turbo fails, it can send pieces of metal into the engine and require costly complete rebuild or replacement in here. Okay, somewhere in one of these, they tell you it's super important that you change your oil regularly with a turbocharger, okay? But here you can see it. All right, we got the exhaust side over here with exhaust gases right here that are going to come in and hit this and spin this turbo. This is the side that's going to, this is where your air intake comes in, and it's going to come into here. These are going to suck it in, and then they're going to send it in and cool it down and send it out of the system. So you can see kind of what's going on here. Here's your exhaust gases coming in and spinning right in here. On the other side, because it spins it through this shaft, same thing spinning on both ends. This spins here from the exhaust gases, which in turn takes this fan and sucks in the air that comes in through here, and then it sends it into the intercooler. So it's a win-win all the way around. It's a simple concept, and then here we add in the intercooler option, okay, and how that's going to work. So we have the cylinder goes, the exhaust gases kick in there. So exhaust gases come in right here. They run right through here. They go into here. They spin that turbo up. That turbo sucks the air in through here, runs it through the intercooler right here, cools it down, sends it here, and drops it into the combustion chamber. Boom, sweet, simple, easy. So they kind of give you the breakdown on here. Our turbocharger is reliable. With proper maintenance and good driving habits, turbocharger engines shouldn't have any significant reliability concerns compared to naturally aspirated ones. Okay, that's what they're saying. But keep in mind, a turbocharger is working a turbocharged engine is working much, much harder. Okay, and the harder you're into the pedal, the more boost you create, the faster everything gets going, the harder the pistons are working, the harder everything is working. So I understand what they're saying, but notice it says right here, with proper maintenance and, hang on, I don't want that to, it says right, give me back to where I was. Come on, where are you? Oh, what is going on? Get back here. Hang on. We lost it. I lost where, right here. With proper maintenance and good driving habits, okay? Good driving habits means baby it. Okay, with a turbo. You baby it, it shouldn't have any significant reliability concerns. In a truck, we don't baby trucks, and we use them to haul, tow, and work, and off-road, and stuff like that. So you're in the boost a lot. Got to keep that in mind, okay? But frequent oil changes become exponentially more important in a turbocharged engine because of the extra heat a turbo adds to the engine bay. If oil is past recommended change intervals, it can cause sludge to build up and may block oil passages that feed the turbo. Okay, suppose the turbo isn't properly lubricated and cooled by the engine. In that case, it can cause damage and lead to a catastrophic failure that may destroy the entire engine. Okay, as a result, it effectively leaves the car totaled. Make sure turboed engines stay happy and healthy involves a few requirements. Don't use low octane gas. Don't boost with cold oil. Okay, that means don't get on the throttle hard, because if you get on the throttle, and you push that pedal down, that's going to create boost. You don't want to do that when it's cold, okay? You need to let things warm up. Do not floor the accelerator at low RPM. How many times do we got to do that in certain situations? But anyway, they say don't do it. Don't spool the turbo before shutting off the engine. In other words, let it cool down some. Okay, so they're going to get on here and give you all the details. You can read them if you want to. We're already 13 minutes in. So we're going to end it, but I will let you pause it here if you want there. Then you can pause it here if you want. I'll let you, so you can pause any of these that you want to read to finish out the article. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know. Any comments down below, put them in here. Thanks for watching.